Thank you very much. So I think you read the entire biography. Anyways, thank you very much, and you're so vibrant as usual. And how are you all doing? Amazing, that's great. All right, so she already set the stage by introducing Dave, and we heard his story. And of course, education is something which is the most important fundamental element of any geography or the generation by itself. I'm sure you agree with me, right? So I thought let's put some light around education, which is 21st century that we are looking forward with revolutionizing it with AI and virtual learning, which is, let me call it as an intelligent learning system. This is a heart-touching, very emotional slide for me. Talk about AR, VR, metaverse, AI empowered training, etc., etc. But then look at the number here. 264 million youth and children do not have access to education. Isn't that an alarming number, right? This is where we need to fix the fundamentals. I can say that 60 million children don't even have any access to primary education as well. It reminds me about a story, it's 2012, 2013, when there was, in India, there was a movement called Make a Difference during the students. So we go to slum, we go to streets, roadside, the small huts which is there in the Bangalore street. We used to go over there and pull the children. The morning activity is that you go to every single door and take the child to the class. So they say a very valid point indeed, we don't want education, it's not going to fill my tummy. What we need is food to eat. Do you have any food to eat? That's what I want. If my child go for school, who will take care of his younger kid? How do I go for work? It's a valid point, right? So it's not the education which is going to fill the tummy, but the food. I agree to that point, but I always follow something in, it says like this: you can buy one-time fish and satisfy the hunger one time. But if you teach him fishing, and that's going to satisfy his hunger for the entire life. So we wanted to follow something of that sort to create an education ecosystem which will help to build a good generation. But if I go anything, right, there's no logic over there. So it was a very difficult task. Now take another example, I've been working to empower education and health for African region. We see day to day, there are a lot of news which goes like, 100 billion, 20 billion, 30 billion is being pumped to Africa region for setting up the infrastructure, setting up health, education, but where is it? Do you really see that? But yesterday, I was just talking to one of the consortium that we have formed with 18 companies put together to empower certain regions of Africa to digitize health and education. So I was like so excited. I was just telling that, okay, I want to implement AI avatar teacher. You know that there's a BYOD, bring your own device kind of a concept in every schools. This is exactly that, we need to leverage Africa. So they're like, Isha, just hold on for a minute. I need to take you a few steps back to understand what exactly which is happening here. 5 hours, there are no telecom services. Whole night, there was no electricity. I'm staying in the most developed city of Africa, and I went to the biggest mall over there, 120 shops which is supposed to be there, and only 4 are operating, and they are lighting the torch to show what are the materials in the store. And you're talking about bring your own device, you're talking about AI avatar teacher, you're talking about psychometric analysis. Agree? So this is the reality on the ground, but we still talk about revolutionizing AI, which is an irony. Yes, of course, the well-developed country can always do that. But at the same time, I also realized something. You building brick and mortar schools in every corner of the world is not going to complete my mission of making education affordable, accessible, or available for every single child on the planet. But I also believe that technology can do that job, provided there is a government little support on infrastructure or internet or power. If that is in place, education can be made accessible worldwide with a quality teachers and quality education with the technology aspect. All right, with that note, let's go to the next thing. Hope stands for health, opportunity, people and education. So that is what we are driving, wherein it is also mapped with sustainable development goals of United Nations 2030. So that's where we are heading, to empower the people with health as well as education, and education being the main tool of the entire generation. That is where we are going to focus now. Now look at the current state of education, It's been designed in 1893, and then what we need is 7 C's. Creativity, competence, continuous learning, cultural awareness, communication, collaboration, and critical thinking. This is the crowded marketplace. Yesterday when I was talking to one of the person from IIT Madras, he is from Deloitte as well. He's telling, Isha, education is not something that you need to focus on. It's a very used, abused marketplace. I need to agree with him, because that much edtech companies are there all over. And today, if you look at the economic condition or the market value, the market size of cross-vertical health, if you compare BFSI, if you compare with health, if you compare with manufacturing or public sector and education, education is a small pie. The reason, is it because there are no students going to the school, or is it because parents don't have money to send them to the school? But I feel that it is because of too much of crowded edtech platform, which is not addressing the actual need of education. So take all the personas over here, students, you see parents, schools, and teachers, but all these edtech platforms are addressing only small portion of the need. We are not having a complete system which address every single need, right? Despite of all these edtech platforms which we have in the market today, this is the situation. To sum it up, you have a complexity due to spaghetti architecture and lack of unified systems. The actual learning is somewhere else, the curriculum is somewhere else, the hybrid learning happening somewhere else, the data of the student is somewhere else. It's a very spaghetti architecture. You do not have a unified system in place. Quality of education, all right? My skill and ability is totally different from yours. My focal point is completely different from yours. One size fit for all is the education that we are focusing on. But how are you measuring the parameter of a quality education? If you have a set of line items or parameters to define what's a quality education, we don't know that, right? Because for every individual student, the parameter differs. The way it has to be addressed differs, because you don't have a personalized feedback, you don't have a personalized performance plan, you do not have a personalized curriculum in place, in spite of your brain works in a different direction, in a different format, isn't it? Now, next is multiple disparate system and the data silos, which is very much it's connected with the lack of unified system. Inability to provide a seamless experience. Of course, me as a parent, I do not have access to the educational system. I do not know what's the weak point or the strength point of my child. I don't know what's exactly happening in the classroom, because me being the major contributor of my child's education journey, and still I do not have access, I do not understand what exactly happening. Same goes to institutions by themselves, the teachers itself. And if you look at here, the teachers haven't improved their efficiency. More than 50% of their actual teaching productive time, they are focusing on admin task. They are not doing the actual teaching, but they are doing the admin task more than the teaching. And if you look at it, students are more tech savvy than teachers. They know everything about technology, but teachers are not competent enough, and they are not up to their level yet, which is why in UAE, if some of you know that, it became so mandatory. Crown Prince already announced that every teachers should go a mandatory training in AI. So that is a great moment indeed. All right, so what we need, and there is a big gap between education and employment. So that's where we need AI integrated system which will come up with personalized learning approach, efficient administrative task, human-centric teaching, improved teaching and learning outcomes using data, and seamless immersive learning experience, and 24/7 access to the educational curriculum and a skill-based training. Skill-based training, there is a lot to talk about. I'm so very happy to see all the young leaders who's sitting over here under the leadership of our mentor Dheeraj, and this is exactly what we want. Companies like Marvel, Tesla, they are ready to come door to door to teach, the skill-based training for the students, because I came to know, when I had a recent conversation with the Cyber Park, which is in Kerala, same like Internet City and Electronic City and all that. So Cyber Park, they were telling that, we had just 600 vacancies and there were around 20,000 plus candidates waiting for the interview. And still they couldn't fill those 600 candidates in spite of interviewing all the 20,000 plus candidates who are passed out. So there is a clear-cut, difficult situation to find the right candidates who are capable of managing the employment industry today. Well, what we need to do? Fix the fundamentals. Every decision to be data-driven. When you say personalized feedback, when you say that there are 40 students in the classroom, the teacher cannot have 40 different feedbacks based upon his performance, and a teacher cannot have an individual attention for all the 40 students, right? So that's where AI can really complement the entire education system. And then if you look at most of the administrative tasks can be automated. Go to the predictive analysis that is going to give you actual numbers and the actual action plan. And unified system, which is the most important thing that we need to fix. Now if you look at it, once you have the fundamentals fixed, go to strengthen the building blocks by adopting AI in multiple areas and aspects. And then you can think about accelerating it. Let me go back to the Africa aspect. We are trying to digitize 130 schools across Africa. But the fun part is that if they are able to enter the name of the students, at least in an Excel sheet, I call it as a digital transformation. So that's where it is. All right. Let's look at the intelligent